Sunny. Before we have Sunny introduce our next speaker, I just want to quickly say, Jen, I met Jen because of reference from other funds. Both my kids actually took SAT prep lesson with Jen, and they also went to other agencies, and they both like Jen so much. Like Jen talked about, she has a knack to connect with students, especially high schoolers. So, and her teaching is so natural, and then she could quickly pinpoint your weakness and then drill down on that and help you to improve, as quickly as possible. And also I got the chance to talk with her after the class about her personal journey. That's what really inspired me. And then some of the things you talked about, and I have the same fear, when I also thought about, I think probably everybody had that. So before wasting more time, I know that HanhLinh and MaiLinh, that's another power duo. I met two of them, especially MaiLinh at the time at McLean High School's silent auction. So they are one of the business that donated services to McLean High School, and I won the auction. That's when I got connected with the sisters, and the amazing sisters. And then by working with them, and one of my children also work with them, I have also learned so much from them. These young people are so bright and so courageous, and you guys truly are our role models and my personal role models as well. Okay, without further ado, I will have Sunny to introduce MaiLinh and HanhLinh. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I would like to say thank you so much for Jen for the presentation. It was amazing. And next, I would like to introduce the two incredible sisters, HanhLinh and MaiLinh. And HanhLinh is the CEO, has an MBA from Georgetown University, and MaiLinh, Chief Product Officer, graduated from Babson College and is a leadership scholar. And together they have a deep experience in education, technology, and business strategy to transform learning in the workspace. And with their company, Gateway, they're transforming corporate training with AI powerful microlearning to allow companies to onboard, train, and retain talent faster and more efficiently. Gateway has already collaborated with over 40 companies, including the National Institute of Aerospace and Raycom, and is backed by top accelerators like Techstars and Lighthouse Labs. And please join me in welcoming HanhLinh and MaiLinh to share their stories.
Thank you so much, Sunny. Jen, it was so inspiring to hear your story, and it's just I think you're gonna find some commonality in the way that we started our business as well. So I'm gonna share my screen here. Can you all see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wonderful. So my name is HanhLinh, and my sister's name is MaiLinh. Our last name is Ho, and a lot of people actually think that perhaps we're of Chinese descent. We are actually Vietnamese, but I'm sure there is some relationship somewhere in our descendant. So for today, we're gonna go through our story and then tell you a little bit about how we got started, the problem that we're solving for, and the impact that we've made so far. It seems like we're gonna leave room for Q&A together at the end, so we'll go with that. So on the left, that's our family back in Vietnam. We came here as immigrants, and my parents, our parents started a family business. It was a transportation business. Well, it is a transportation business. And our dad actually never got a college degree when he started the business. And our mom is the educator of the family, and she actually is a former professor. a university professor. And she was the first graduating class teaching English back in the day in Vietnam. And together, when they met each other, our parents started the business together. And that's when my dad actually went to school, learned management, learned law, and got a law degree to adequately run his business. And growing up, my first job was cleaning the stairs of our building. And so I think I was about 5 at the time. And it was a very humbling experience. One of the things that my parents hung at my study desk was that is a quote in Vietnamese, and it says something like, if I give you knowledge, you're gonna be able to go a long way instead of giving you resources. So that's really how we grew up. And we, even though it's a transportation business, we had the worst car in the whole entire company. Literally on the way to school and home from school, the car, especially in the afternoon when we drive home from school, the car would break down halfway because it's so hot in the heat of Saigon. And I learned that entrepreneurship is a very humbling experience, that you really have to be the first to wake up, the last to leave. You put your all in it, but that is your way to earn your freedom. And that is your way to make an impact in your community. And so fast forward to MaiLinh and I in our own journey. We actually didn't work in the family business in the beginning. So we both pursue our own careers. And I actually learned technology. Management information system was my undergraduate degree. And at the time, before I actually got to that degree, I thought I would be a diplomat, which is a wildly different path. I actually, similar to, I think Giselle mentioned that her commitment to the arts. I actually thought maybe one day I would become an artist, because I actually sold a couple of paintings when I was in high school, very creative in that way. But eventually, kind of similar to how Jen said, you can only connect the dots looking backwards. I learned that creativity is key to entrepreneurship. And so that got us through a lot of the challenging times as entrepreneurs. And for myself, I then went back to Vietnam to found a rideshare app. After I had done a couple of years in the corporate world, launching different products in consulting, actually. And so I then went back to Vietnam after I saw that Uber just took over the taxi industry in the US to make an impact in Asia. And then after that, I came back to the US, and that was during COVID. MaiLinh pursue her own career, and perhaps later on she can share a bit more about that as well. But when we met again in the US during COVID, it was because MaiLinh education in studying abroad in Spain was cut short. So it was serendipitous that we ended up back in the US at the same time together, and everything was shut down. I had just had my first child, and MaiLinh and I went through a period of just reflections and chatting as sisters. And coming from the background of technologists and educators, also entrepreneurship, MaiLinh had founded 2 other companies before that. We noticed that a lot of companies were struggling with onboarding and training people remotely. And we also noticed that a lot of young people were struggling with getting internships. A lot of internships were also canceled. And we saw these 2 problems in a way where other people didn't see it. That what if we go to companies and say, hey, can we train the young people for you? And would you take the students as interns? And so in a way, we were able to create a matching mechanism and aid in the process of educating young people on these durable skills like communications, networking, making sure that you know how to use the digital tools that companies are using so that you can get up to speed quickly and get the most out of your internships. And so by doing that, that's how we got to meet Lan and be able to support a lot of high school students and also college students in that process. So during that time, as we were working with companies, we realized that companies were missing this mechanism to onboard and train team members aside from interns. And they were asking us, hey, can you train our full-time team members, our contractors, and even our customers and partners that we collaborate with? And so that's where we started expanding our suite of use cases using the same technology. And that's what we have today as Gateway. We no longer just focus on the internship piece. We support companies across the board by providing our technology to onboard and train, whether it's interns, contractors, team members, or customers and partners. And here are a few things that I already kind of touched on before, but one of the things that I think I want to stress on is, why is this relevant to our audience here today? I think growing up as immigrants, especially English is my second language, and being Asian in our community, I think during COVID, we could see that there were a lot of stereotypes, and also thinking about the hurdles that we as Asian youths face, or Asian community face, language, culture, and also having a lack of support and guidance, and also thinking about non-traditional paths. If you're pursuing paths that perhaps your parents are not aware of, where do you turn to for support? I think that's why the work that we do, we're very passionate about that, because it directly impacts young people entering the workforce. And in a little bit, MaiLinh's going to share more about what is it that Gateway is, so that you can see how we intentionally design the technology to support young people in the workplace.
All right. Thanks, HanhLinh. So as HanhLinh mentioned, we're both technologists, and I myself actually entered the career of a product manager. So I don't know if you know what a product manager is, but basically my job, and honestly my personal passion, is to build products that people can find value in and can love using. So that's what we do. That's what my role is at Gateway. And of course, as a startup, as a small team, we all collaborate together, because what we find is like the power of a team and the power of working together. So all of you are probably pursuing different careers. You have different strengths, different skill sets. For us, what we find to be a really dynamic team environment. And as you're entering into college, you'll meet so many other classmates. I actually started my first business in my first year of college, because Babson College is a school dedicated to entrepreneurship. So they allow you to pitch business ideas and just work with random, your strangers at this point. Other classmates. But in that process, I got to learn so much about myself. And a lot of the leadership skills really came from it. So I think as I walk through this, I want to point out some of the learnings that we had as a team and how we design, a product to serve more than 40 clients, as you see here. So we have clients from all over, from healthcare industries to tech companies to manufacturing, construction. So think about, like, as you go into your career and into college, you'll probably work at so many different companies as well in different industries. But the one thing that you'll hear and you have heard is the disruption of AI. in these different industries. And so for us, what we learned was AI is really about automating things. What that means is taking manual processes, things that you would do as a person, and it's a machine, right, that can automate those things. So you only want to automate the things that bring value to people. You don't want to just automate anything that's out there. So that's really the power of AI for us, where we're not just slapping on AI because that's the trend now and that's what investors are investing in, but we use it because after we have already proven out the concept of a very organized and powerful onboarding and training system that we've built with Gateway. So AI was more of an add-on later on, and we just recently launched our AI chat assistant that allows learners to learn better and faster. So that's what I want to highlight here is like when you're embracing technologies in school, in the workplace, I know in school you probably have a lot of limitations as well, and you should always think about, even in the corporate sense, when you're getting into internships, you always want to ask, your either your supervisors or your teachers for how do they, how can they allow you to use AI to do your work better and faster? So always make sure you get that out of the way and then embrace it in a sense that it should help you. But I see a lot of young students, even myself, right? We get to a point where we rely on technology, and then sometimes I forget on like how to check for things myself. So it's like you need to know the foundational skills, but then use AI to help you do things better and faster. So that's one thing I want to highlight here. You can go to the next slide, HanhLinh. And I want to talk about the value, right? When you're thinking about your next job too, people hire you because you're bringing some type of value. And for us, with onboarding and training, is about saving companies a lot of the cost and the time it takes to create these training usually. Usually it takes about hundreds of hours to create just 1 hour of online, training and onboarding that people usually go through. So we cut that cost for them to do it by 95%, and we do it, make it faster for them by 75%. And micro learning is basically just breaking up learning in bite-sized chunks. So when you're thinking about like how do you deliver value, it's making sure that it's relevant to the time that you're in. Right now, we know that attention span is really short. That's why we design Gateway to be micro learning, few minutes per topic, kind of like how you're on social media, you're going through things in short form ways. That's how, we design for the organizations that we work with as well. And the process of how we go about this is really simple. So, we first start by extracting the knowledge and the expertise. So when we're working with teams, and as you learn about this, let's say in your next internship or externship or shadowing opportunity with companies, you'll learn that, your team members, they have a lot of expertise. Maybe it's in their minds, it's spread out across documents that people before them have built and they're now updating and all of that. So all of this knowledge lives in so many different places. And what we do is we make it so easy for them to consolidate it. They just drag, drop, they give us a bunch of information. And that's where usually onboarding and training ends, is you give your new hire, your new employee, all of this information and you expect them to understand it. So as an intern, maybe you have had a job before, you probably have experienced this, where the first day, first week to first month, and even sometimes to the first year, you're like, I don't even know what I'm doing here, but I'm just trying my best and kind of keeping afloat with everything. So that's how we step in, is we make sure that they give us that information. And then as part of the next step, we distill it into very easy to understand, organized ways that is customized to what they need to know. And as I mentioned, we launched our AI assistant where it can guide you to understand the content better. But right now, as you probably have interacted with ChatGPT and all these different AI tools, it's actually a really great way to learn because it's answering your questions in real time in a way that you understand and you can refer back to the source. So that's really the idea here of how we design that. Yeah, this is just to show that for us, the value when it comes to working with these companies is we bring the expertise in designing these content. Most of our clients are like small to medium-sized businesses, so they may not have dedicated team members that are creating these content. So these are like team members who their job is to do their job. And if they're to create training on top of that, it just becomes an overwhelming experience. So that's really the value that we bring in. So let's say if you're thinking about starting a business or, going into your first job, think about what skill set are you coming in with, or what skill set can you grow as individuals and learn so that you can, complement or help the people that, you're entering into the workplace with. So that's what I want to highlight here. Yeah, all of our clients and users are across the world. The workplace is getting more global. So, you'll be, because of remote, because of hybrid, and also globalization, you'll meet so many people of different backgrounds. So it's always important to stay curious, like Jen said earlier, and continue to learn from others. So that's really the expertise that we brought on due to our experience working with many different teams. And this is why we do what we do. Leticia is an early hire, an early talent hire for Raycom, and from her experience going through our onboarding and training, she just said it was like the best, most comprehensive experience she's ever had at any company. And she's worked and interned at so many different companies. So this is really, why it inspires us. And then as another use case, most recently, we're saving this company who's in manufacturing construction $1 million every year. So think about this economy, right? I mean, every dollar counts, but that's $1 million back into their pockets to invest into their growth globally as well. So those are just some of the case studies that I want to highlight there. So I think for us, we wanted to share about our journey, and it's so hard to be entrepreneurs. And also people ask us all the time, how do you work with your sisters? Like, I can't imagine working with my family. But for us, it's, of course, we've always gotten along as siblings too. And I think the age gap really helps because, she was always studying abroad, and every time we come together is really great. But when you're thinking about going into the workplace, going into college, even though the odds may be stacked against you, especially in this job market right now and the economy, always try to be resilient and make sure that you're coming out stronger than ever before, and lean on others as well. So should I hand it back to you now, Lan, to kind of facilitate the Q&A or?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, MaiLinh and HanhLinh. It was such a great presentation. I know 20 minutes is kind of short, but I think you guys conveyed the gist of it. And I've typed both of their websites to the chat group, and we're going to open the floor for questions. And Giselle and Sunny is going to feed the questions. While you guys are typing the questions, I just want to quickly say a few words about Capanova. We're a nonprofit organization. We're volunteer-based nonprofit organization. I typed the website, and in the past year alone, we've hosted over 500 workshops and events, and in any possible field you can think of, from career path, from college admission, to fitness, to psychology, and then the battling depression, and then the in terms of dating world for high schoolers, and all those, whatever you can think of, we have it. So a lot of these recordings are available on our website. And please check it out. And then we would welcome you to become our member. For a mere $50 a year, you can access all the recordings online. Since we that's how we operate our business, our nonprofit organization. We also call on all the interested members and community members and to work with us and to form alliances with us, because our goal is to advance Asian Americans' rights at all fronts. So we need more volunteers like all of you. So, and also we want to support our business. Today we talked about Prep with Jen and HanhLinh and MaiLinh's career gateway. And if you guys have the need, and please contact them. And if you have a story and you want us to feature you, please reach out to us. All right, Giselle and Sunny, do you have any questions? First of all, you can ask. I'll give you guys each an opportunity to ask question. An audience member, please feel free to type your question or just raise your hand.
I actually have a question for Jen of
Okay.
what was like the moment, like I have to do this, when you have to leave the corporate world and pursue for the tutor full time.
Yeah, I would say that there were a lot of moments. I mean, part of what I realized was this was something I'd always done. I just didn't know it could be a career. If I knew I enjoyed teaching, I might have gone to education school instead of the business school. But I think a lot of my life, I just kept going in the direction that I felt like the wave was pulling me, if that makes sense. And so I went to, UVA has a pretty good business school, so I applied. Like everything was always based on the next goalpost. And when I finally stopped was when I realized that all of these goals I was trying to achieve, they were not getting me any closer to the life I thought I wanted, And so I wouldn't say there was one moment, but I can tell you it was not an overnight decision. I actually spent about 6 months, full 6 months before I put in my 2-week notice. I wrote myself letters. I wrote to other entrepreneurs. I wanted some real life advice, kind of like, what you guys are hopefully hearing a little bit today, before I had the courage to take that first step. So yeah, does that kind of help? Awesome. Thank you for the question.
Also another question, really, really quick, that I know, like, because I have tutored before other kids before, that I know tutoring can be like a really personal experience, like to you or even like to other students. Like, how do you tailor your approach to meet each student's need? Because like every pupil is different. Their SAT
Yes.
knowledge is different.
Wow, I'm so impressed that you already are so in tune with that. I'm going to encourage you to just keep tapping in. Why I made intuition one of my top 3 tips is we are so often conditioned to not listen to our instincts. We are told by social media, by teachers, by everybody around us on what we should do. But what you're telling me is what I know so well is when you work with another person, what you're really trying to understand is where they're coming from. You have to adapt. You have to listen sometimes between the lines. If you've tutored, you probably know a little bit of what I'm saying. Sometimes students don't always know what they're struggling with. What they think they're struggling with may not actually be what they need. And so it's our job to really understand what they need and to help them get there and reach their own kind of moment of clarity, right? Which is what I said. So yeah, keep tapping in. And in terms of just relating to them, empathy. I saw a question in the comments here. It's like, maybe what is some characteristic that kind of help you with this? I would say my core is I come from a place of understanding because I grew up in Nova. I went through the whole process here. So when parents tell me, you don't understand how stressful it is for these kids, I can say, I kind of do. I understand that times have changed, but because I know so well what it entails, you approach it from a place of understanding, and kids, I know teenagers can be difficult, but they can feel when somebody cares about them. So if you care about them, they're going to meet you. Yes, keep it up.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And does
Thank
anyone
you.
have more questions? Giselle?
Yes, I actually have a question. Okay, so for Jen again. Um, but so in your slideshow, you talked a lot about intuition and just having, a very strong mindset. And like nowadays, many people like don't realize this, but they don't succeed because they have a negative mindset and they tell themselves that they can't succeed. So by looking back, do you think one of the biggest differences for you was having like, a very strong mindset, habit, or a key decision that helped you move forward?
So, I really appreciate this question because I think it's easy for me now from where I am to kind of tell the story that seems like I was so confident. I actually was not at all a confident person growing up. I was maybe when I was in high school, if I can be totally honest, I was probably confident for all the wrong reasons. I was confident in the blindness that I followed. Like I blindly followed this path and I could check all the boxes. I got pretty okay grades. I got into a pretty okay school. I got a pretty okay degree, but I never derived true confidence that came from internal drive, if that makes any sense. And so I even said, I did not have the confidence to want to do this because if I did, I could have maybe done it sooner, or maybe I would have gotten myself onto an education path a little bit sooner if I really could tap into what I wanted to do. But why I say intuition above confidence, above this innate, what we think of this innate superpower of just being able to defy all odds, is you have to listen to your body. Your body will tell you. Sometimes there are things that come at me where my body will have a reaction before my mind does. And I've just learned over time to kind of reconcile the two and really stop and feel. That's why I said to feel your way towards the light, not necessarily to think or plan your way there. And so, yes, I think that is why, and I know sometimes I'm going a little roundabout answering your question, but hopefully you can see why my intuition, because all of us have it. There is no book that will teach you how to feel, in your body. So yeah, does that help answer your question? Yeah,
Thank you so much.
confidence, yes. And on that, confidence comes with practice and with time. And even now, I'm going to tell you guys kind of maybe a weird statement. Who I am in my business is who I aspire to be in my life. I sometimes look at the person that I am in my business as the guide for how I want to be in my life. I can use a lot more confidence in my life, the same one that I cultivated in my business.
And just a quick note on the intuition that you're saying about you feel it in your body. Literally, like I can feel it in my guts,
Yes.
right? Like it's in your stomach. It's kind of like your first brain in a way, and then when you think logically, then your second brain kicks in, right? So you're spot on, and a lot of time that intuition is more accurate than what you're thinking or what you think you should be thinking.
And when you go against it, you will pay the price and then you'll learn. You'll learn when you make that mistake.
Absolutely.
Next, I have a really quick question for HanhLinh and MaiLinh that looking back at your business journey, is there anything that you would have done differently during you guys' first year of building Gateway? Like, for example, your decisions of like whether to start it sooner or later or something?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I think, MaiLinh, feel free to jump in. I think one of the things that I wish I would have done differently is, and is that your question? Did I hear it correctly? Things that I wish I would have done differently, is that I would have I would have been more in just obsessed with the problem. So Yes, exactly. So a lot of time when we think about building a company is about building a product, right? And you're thinking, oops, my daughter's here and she's just coming in and joining us.
Hi.
Okay, so yeah, we think about building a product and we become really obsessed with building something that we think people want. And I think that's when we can start falling into this trap of creating something that nobody wants. And so really being obsessed with the problem and solving the problem will give us that solution that people actually want and will pay for, and that's when the business actually works. MaiLinh, anything you want to
Yeah,
add?
I think along with that, what we learned as well is to talk to people. Like a lot of time we tend to overthink or like, you know, think that we have to figure it out ourselves first and then talk to people. But one of the biggest lessons we learned was if you have a problem, if you're stuck in your business or whatever, just talk to your customers, right? And this is to say, like, you just need to talk to people that you're trying to deliver value for, and they'll help you figure it out, right? It's a people business now. Like, even if it's technology, you're dealing with people who will buy the business. And when you're thinking about going into college, going into beyond college, your job and everything like that, it may seem daunting, like, oh, you should know it all, or like you should be at a certain place before you talk to people. But forget about that. It's about connecting with people. And I love that you all are here and asking really great questions, because that's really how you learn. So I would say, yeah, just like talk to people and don't feel like you need to be so polished in doing so.
So would you say HanhLinh and MaiLinh is because your dad started business? Would you say he's your biggest inspiration in opening your own business? And was there a time that you questioned your decision, or how did you overcome it?
Yeah, thank you.
I realize that but we'll just make this a last question.
Thank you. So when I was small, so we're actually 6 siblings in our family, and I'm the youngest of six. And everyone else has pretty much decided they want to go into business. So they were counting on me as the last one to become a doctor one day. But then when I was small, I was like, actually, I really love seeing what our parents have built. And that inspired me to one day want to build my own legacy. I knew that I didn't want to go into transportation because I didn't feel that sense of passion and purpose in that. But really, our parents definitely were a source of inspiration for me to be like, yeah, I can do this. And even to this day, they're like, yeah, like business is the toughest thing you can do. And you're probably, yeah, it's like you probably shouldn't go into it, but I went against that and now building it with HanhLinh.
And then I know that your business growing rapidly. Was there a tough moment? You were second guessing, or you just charged through, never questioned your decisions?
Oh, definitely second guessing, especially in the beginning. It was almost weekly, if not daily. I think, especially in the beginning, because you're trying to prove out if this is going to work, and you're trying to prove out if there's a market, and is your solution and what you're solving big enough of a market for the business to continue growing. And there's so many questions, so many uncertainty. I think over time, though, the entrepreneur's brain just gets used to it. I think there is somewhere in there that it's kind of a muscle that you just keep building and building. And so in the beginning, the highs and lows hit in a very varied way. So the highs and lows were really wide apart. But as we go through the journey, the highs and lows keep closing up. Even when we have challenges, the highs and lows get much closer together. So it's almost our brain become more resilient over time.
Right, you built your muscle and then your tolerance level, right, to the downfalls or ups and downs. So I was going to close, but then we have one more question from Robert. Sunny, could you read the question? So this will be our closing question. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
first.
been so inspirational. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, Robert asked that a lot of people, young people, they're struggling whether they want stability of finding just stable like income, or following their passion where it could possibly doesn't provide them a stable income. And you guys' journey reflects a pivot from corporate paths to purpose-driven work. How should you think about risk and purpose when making life decision? And like, how would you recommend them to choose a decision? Deciding.
I'll jump in here first, but I'm seeing Jen and MaiLinh already thinking about it. So for me, I think it is very much possible to continue doing the stable job, the job with the income, while building up the business on the side. And I'm so sorry, my son is very excited to be part of this meeting, even though he's not invited, but he is here. So
I guess
maybe
it's
a
almost your
future
bedtime.
student for Jen right here. So it's very possible to do both at the same time. And of course, you're putting in long hours, but then you are able to build up that traction and the confidence to eventually increase the hours for the side hustle in a way, right? The side job, to then determine if that could be a full-time career. And I think for me, I had saved up a certain level of money from my corporate job to then be able to say, I have this many years to prove it out. I have a time box. This is my strategy. If it doesn't work, I have a plan B as well.
Awesome. Jen, would you like to add anything or?
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't have to choose from the beginning. I think a big part of it is you sometimes do have to maybe work two jobs, but yeah, remember how I said that eventually your business will become its own thing and it will ask things of you. And I don't know if HanhLinh, MaiLinh, you guys can kind of relate to what I'm talking about there. We often think about, oh, we're the one running the business and steering the ship, but eventually if you have to listen and your business will actually tell you what you need. So you could work, and then when you get to a certain level, you can transition, and you don't have to decide when that is right now because your business will tell you.
I guess what we need to do is just start it, right? To take actions.
Yes.
And then, right? And when we accumulate enough experience, probably we can relate to, I feel the inkling of what you're trying to convey, but like any business people who've done it probably will have a similar
Getting started is probably
reflection.
getting started is probably the hardest thing. But once you do, I don't think you'll regret it. I think any business person you'll ever talk to, they will never have, and that's what I told myself. If I fail, I will never regret having tried. Just knowing that thought pushes a lot of people over the fear of just trying.
Right. Yeah. We have only one life. We don't want to have any regrets.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally get that. So I think we're 15 minutes over our time, and we're just going to stop right here. I want to just express my sincere appreciation to Jen, HanhLinh, and MaiLinh. You guys are amazing. I especially after your talks, I already like you guys to begin with, but after your talks, I feel more inspired. I hope we all, our audience member, take some pointers, and these pointers are not just beneficial for starting a business. I think it can be applied to having a corporate job or our life in other aspects of our life. And I wanted this to be a starting point for people, encourage people to explore other paths. There are a million roads to Rome, right? And we should expand our vision, not just to all try to cross one or two bridges. Yeah. And then, like you said, the freedom you gain from this, and other, of course, financial freedom, and then in terms of time, And that's all some of the worth pursuing, the goals that will come with entrepreneurship. Yeah, thank you guys so much. Again, thank you, Sunny and Giselle. You guys are amazing. And then everybody else, thank you for participation. Reach out to us if you wanted to become a volunteer, or you have inspiring stories you want to share with our community. All right, have a good night.
Thank you all. Have a
Bye.
good night.